Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Blue-White Curiosity with no reserve list cards. You can build this deck for about $700, and it is maybe Legacy viable. We'll see. The previous league actually went surprisingly well. I was playing Mono Blue, which should be a lot less powerful than what I'm playing today because I have Plow in the house, and I have Sheltered by Ghosts, which is a great Oblivion Ring that also gives your creature lifelink and +1/+0 in Ward 2, which we don't really need the Ward because the only creatures in our entire deck that can be targeted is this Azure Beastbinder card. But we have Slippery Bogle. He has Hexproof. He's only 1 mana. We have Invisible Stalker, which not only has Hexproof, but is also unblockable. And, of course, we have True Name Nemesis, which just has protection from everything. It's just an insane card. So we went down to just 2 of these because we wanted to be able to fit in more interaction spells. So we've got like the equivalent of like 8 creature removals, which is a big upgrade from the previous league where we just had the 4 dismembers. In the sideboard, we get access to Rest in Peace. We don't use our graveyard for anything, and our opponent won't be able to use it either. We also have 4 Force Negation for combo, 3 Hydroblast for red matchups, 4 Consigned to Memory for big mana decks and for Eldrazi, and 2 Back to Basics. Almost everything in this is a basic land. We do have a Meticulous Archive to smooth some of the action here. But aside from that, we're going to basically just be sticking basics and we'll have pretty reliable mana. Hopefully our mana holds. It is always tricky when you're playing without dual lands, but we do have 18 lands here, so likely we'll be able to get our mana under us. See you in round 1. Unknown opponent, but they're a fan of the channel. This doesn't have a turn 1 play. I think we can probably do better than this. That's a lot of curiosity. I want to see if I can get a hand that has access to both blue and white. And this has access to blue and white, and it's got a force, and it's got, this is like basically everything we could ask for. So I'll snap keep this. We'll just put back a Flooded Strand. We're just going to go land Slippery Bogle. Let them know what's what. Next turn, we can, if we don't have to force something here, we have Combat Research. They're probably laughing over there. If they're a fan of the channel, they may have seen my previous Curiosity League. By the way, the deck tech took about 4 minutes. I know that this could come down to time, and it would be embarrassing if that happens. Okay, they're on this deck, which is fine. We are going to get our Combat Research on and draw some cards here. Another Slippery Bogle. Not really. I think I just want to draw a card first and see what I get. I don't want any of my cards to be dazed. I'm just going to play super cautiously here. Okay, so they're opting not to block here, presuming that we can remove it, which actually, I'll be completely candid. I forgot that this doesn't have unblockability. So they could have just traded there, and I would have had to fetch and cast Plow. I think I'm going to I need access to white. I just need to chill. I'll keep this up, and then I can fetch and pay for force if I need to force something. I don't need a second Slippery Bogle. They have Boomerang Basics in their deck, but they don't necessarily have anything else. They can get rid of Sheltered by Ghost, but I am probably going to want to just target this with Sheltered by Ghost if they don't play something better out, because that way, even if they are able to bounce Sheltered by Ghost, they don't get their thing back because it's a token. So we're going to take some damage here, but Sheltered by Ghost will grant lifelink. At this point, Daze is the scariest card in their deck. So they're on the really good blue-red tempo that True Tempo piloted to a top 8 finish at a major tournament recently. Okay, so this is another one of those dudes. I think at this point, in the spirit of baiting out a Daze and saving some life, I am going to go ahead and fetch and attempt to Plow here. And this may get dazed, but then Sheltered by Ghost won't get dazed next turn. Sheltered by Ghost can take the blocker to ensure that we get the extra card. Okay, great. That's fantastic. All right. So I don't think they have days here. I'm going to Sheltered by Ghost first so I can get through. And what's going on? Sheltered by Ghost. Target this. Okay. I was worried that there might be some bug in MTGO, but this is just hexproof. It's not protection from everything. So, all right. We'll just take out your Otter here, and we are firmly in the driver's seat here. Gaining life against a aggro deck and drawing extra cards. Land would be great. We have 18 lands in our deck, which is not a ton. That's a Plow. That's great. And, of course, we have unimpeachable mana. So we got, really paired up against, an exciting matchup, game 1, basically, of this league. So I'm really excited. This will really be like an acid test of like whether our deck is viable. This, you always force, and the reason you force is because if they interact, at least they're not going to get a creature the first turn. So I can just Sheltered by Ghost it next turn if I need to. And the great thing is usually you'd be terrified of like a Murktide coming down, but I'm actually not that worried about that. I'm thinking about actually Sheltered by Ghost the second time on the same one and just giving it some additional power. So it's worth noting that we don't actually have... I mean, maybe I just plow here and save the Sheltered by Ghost like for a Merc or another Cutter. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do that. They may force. They don't force. Okay, I think they're getting a weird draw where they don't have any counter magic, which is good for us. So the fact that this is still an extremely brittle creature that can be killed by any blocker. Nice. Let's see. What are the odds we find something good off this? If I find like another Bogle, I might want to just... Or another Curiosity, I do just want to cast it. Okay, so this is great. We can stick the... yeah, I think I put back Azure Beastbinder and... the land. I don't want that land. I think Sheltered by Ghost is going to be better, and True Name will help us end the game faster. Yeah, and True Name can block anything, which is really important. So far we've gained a lot of life. I think we've gained like 3 life or something like that, 4 life, and we've also managed to draw 2 additional cards off Combat Research. Actually, I think we've drawn 3 cards. So we're living the dream over here. We are looking for more Curiosity effects. And hopefully we can put those Curiosity effects on True Name. I don't think they're likely looking for... They are getting to the point where they can start regrowing stuff with Storm Chaser talent. Wasteland. Okay. So they're not going to find anything to waste over here. I haven't changed my mind about what I want to do here. I'm just going to get an island. And I am going to Shelter by Ghost clearing this. So that I can continue to draw cards and gain life. Let's attempt to do this. Unfortunately, if they force this, like I can't really attack, but luckily they don't. All right, let's go across. I'll just hold up all my mana. Like I can emergency brainstorm, but like I don't need to change anything about my hand. I just need to wait till next turn. Well, let's see what we draw here. Curiosity would be great. All right, Combat Research. So it's worth noting that this is the one that this is the same one we have. There's like one that like kills your creature if it doesn't attack, which is terrifying. I don't like being this all in on a Slippery Bogle, but that's where we are. Luckily, we're likely to draw removal. We just have so much removal in our deck. We've got 8 removal spells. Brainstorming. They may not realize it, but literally any creature completely stops this train. It's got Ward 4 in addition to being hexproof. I haven't seen that on a creature before. It's 2 instances of Ward 2. Okay, you've got a Cutter. All right, and they don't have anything else they can do here. Their bolts are ineffectual. We're going to draw a lot of cards here. I could play this Meticulous Archive out, but like I might draw a better land to play. And we're going to see a lot of cards here off this Brainstorm. Prismatic Vista is great. I can put back the Stinky Land that's going to get forced or wasted. Let's go ahead and Brainstorm here. Oh my goodness. So I think we put this back. Put one of these back. I just can't believe we've gotten as many attacks as we have. Like, I'm really worried. I think I do want to go ahead and play True Name into Daze because then I can completely suit it up next turn. And they've only got 2 cards in hand, so if they like counter this, they may not actually have another card to use next turn. But they're like really... Okay, and they did it. That's fine. Azure Beastbinder doesn't save. Yeah, like they may be able to stop our value train here. Okay, that's the first spell. And they can't really afford to attack. I think they have to hang back. If they watched my previous Curiosity League, they may not realize that Slippery Bogle is not unblockable. In addition to Hexproof, for some reason I thought he was both. But it's the Invisible Stalker at 2 mana that has both of those traits. Okay, so here comes the Quarry. They may just start swinging, and that's what I really want. But if they just hang back, I'm kind of in a bad place because I can't keep attacking. I'm not going to attack into this monk. Okay, and they opt not to attack. That was smart. Okay, so yeah, now I'm actually kind of in a situation here where I could lose, or I could just draw the best card in my deck in this situation. True Name. So now I can attack. I'm going to choose my opponent, and I'll just go ahead and suit it up. This is... let's go ahead and put Curiosity on just in case for some weird reason I want to keep back. I can't imagine wanting to keep back, but you don't have the option of keeping back with Curious Obsession. They're going to have a hard time kind of like overpowering my True Name here. They'll need a lot of blockers. They can only create one new blocker per turn. They're going to regrow so they can create 0 blockers here. But this is an investment in the future. They should probably get back like a Brainstorm or a Ponder because that's how they can that's how they can trigger their Corey Steelcutter repeatedly. Okay, they may actually have a second spell then. All right. So looking for a way to clear this monk. Another Slippery Bogle isn't really what I'm looking for. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put Curious Obsession on here, and then we're going to draw 2 cards this turn. We are definitely burying them in cards. Like we've drawn nearly half our deck. All right, second card is Prismatic Vista. That's great. So that can go get a land, and then I can probably just play out like both Beastbinder and Bogle just to have more blockers. I'll just get a second Plains here. Beastbinder. Actually, I'll just play out the Stalker because it's like inevitability. Like they're actually at 7, so they're not that far from death. And because this is a lifelink blocker, like, and it has pretty good power, it's going to probably trade with one of their monks. They're fetching Lava Dart just to trigger this, and then they're going to sacrifice. They can ping me directly. That's fine. It's the only legal target. Well, I guess they could hit Beastbinder, but it's a 1-3. I'm so glad they made this 1-3 because they could have easily made it 1-2. All right, so they get their creature, which is a cool trick because they can get a creature on their turn as well. And so they'll have more creatures for their turn. Okay. So keep in mind, some of these are not going to have trample and could potentially be blocked by my Slippery Bogle. One of these monks will revert to being... So right now I have 6 damage on the table, only 5 of which is unblockable. So if they leave a 1/1 monk back, then they may be able to take me out. Merc. And if they had more mana, they would have been able to equip that, but I think they're probably going to go all in and just leave back the Merc, but that's death. Yeah, this is death. There's no reason to block here. Yeah, I don't have any fear of being blown out here. I'll just take 6. I guess technically they're tapped out. Like I don't think that I have anything to fear with them doing tricks with the mana set up the way it is. Yeah, I think they're dead here. I just attack all, and Azure Beastbinder will turn this Murktide into a 2/2. Oh no, it's still a 7/7. Okay, but I'm pretty sure they're still dead. That's still 6 damage. Good game. That was cool. All right, won our first game with our weird deck. I think we got very lucky there, frankly. I think Rest in Peace comes in. Is it? I don't actually know that it does. I mean, it does slow down like a lot of their stuff. I think it comes in. Sheltered by Ghost was insane. We gained a lot of life there and removed 2 of their bodies. Beastbinder isn't great against their deck. If you think about it, like it's vulnerable to their bolts and stuff. And if we just don't have it, their bolts only have us as a target. Yeah, like most of their creatures are extremely mediocre anyway. I think this is probably the card we want to trim to make room for the 3 Hydroblast. We could play 1 Rest in Peace just because it can randomly kind of screw our opponent and stop them from being able to Merc. And yeah, I think I'll play it. So we did decrease our threat density a little bit. Bogle's not good. The fact that he can be blocked, but he was good there. Like we just kind of snowballed with him. I don't know. Maybe I should. But Beastbinder just strikes me as like almost completely irrelevant to the deck. It's really good against blue-black tempo because they've got, Bowmasters and Barragoyfs and stuff like that. By the way, I want to shout out Punishing Waterfalls, who saw my video and was inspired and, made a blue-white version. It was not a no reserve list version like this, but it was close to no reserve list. It had a couple Tundras in there. All right, let's think about this. I mean, this is a Rest in Peace hand. It has a Plow. It has a Force. I could have taken out the Force, but like drawing tons of cards, it doesn't feel right to take out the Force. I think we can do better. We need 2 lands. This is better. So we'll put back one of the lands. We don't need more than 2 lands. We just need 2. So this is a Slippery Bogle. Like we forced their first threat. And then we Slippery Bogle, and then we Curiosity him. And they may actually daze the Slippery Bogle, which I'm totally fine with. I'm not going to wait around. So, yeah, if they use a daze on the Slippery Bogle, I'll live. We don't have that many creatures in our deck, though. But there's no way forcing this daze is correct. Oh, they're going to Pyro it? Oh, they're just going to daze. But they floated red just in case. So they told me that they likely have Pyro, but they may have Bolt. We'll see. Because Bolt is only good at bolting my face. But it is better if you can wait and bolt my face after. So now we can stop like a meanie. Main thing is probably just making sure we can stop. Okay, well, that's a freaking lucky draw. I'm going to Bogle now, and then I'll wait a turn cycle. Because I need to fetch white. Because I'm back to basics deck. Okay, so real talk, like, I think if we can draw like an Invisible Stalker, yeah, I don't want to force that. And also, I may need Force to stay alive. We're on the draw. We're not the aggro. Curiosity is way better equipping Invisible Stalker than it is Bogle. Storm Chaser's talent, that resolves. If we get Invisible Stalker, we start suiting it up. It just becomes very powerful. Happy to see that Bobble coming out right now in a turn where it doesn't affect the prowess. Because this is sick. And they don't have the cutter out. All right, so we'll see what we draw, because I can brainstorm and shuffle here. I think that's what we're going to do here. All right, so we can put back Meticulous Archive for sure. I don't want to be wastable here this game. And I definitely don't need this many Curiosities. So we're making a land drop. That's fine. We'll just pass. They don't have a ton of pressure. I could plow this if I absolutely have to, but I really would like to hold plow for an actual creature. So if this is cutter, that will be forced. So I'll let that trigger resolve, and then we're going to go ahead and force. We are getting low in cards, but again, nothing we can't, sculpt out of later. If this resolves, this is a huge problem for us. Okay, well, that's a nice dodge. Boomerang Basics. This is good. It's going to give them another dude, and they get a card. So that's kind of like their card draw engine in their deck. Now we're going to take 3 here. 4. It might actually be worth just plowing this out of the way, and I should have done it with the Bobble on the stack. I think, for the sake of not dying, it is correct against the Delver deck to go ahead and... If we draw like True Name Nemesis, we're totally fine. But we've only got 2 True Names. Come on, True Name. They're up to 4 cards over there. Very scary. Combat Research. Okay. Well, this is what happens sometimes with the deck. You just draw your A's and not your B's, or your B's and not your A's. What we need is a creature. What we have is a whole bunch of not creature. DR Season. That's a very good card. This would be a good time to find my one of Rest in Peace. Oh, gosh. Yeah, this game's over. I feel pretty confident we're dead. They can regrow. Like, I don't want to upset people by prematurely conceding, but I think we're sub 5% here to win. I think we can move on. They're going to just continue to amass advantage. Okay, so what have we learned there? I mean, I've played against this deck like hundreds of times, so I didn't really learn anything. Back to basics is not a good consideration here because they have Pyroblasts. We're down to 10 creatures. That may just be too low, but like I wouldn't have wanted to suit up an Azure Beast Biter either. I think we just have to hold fast to, like, let's find a True Name or an Invisible Stalker. That's 6 cards. I don't regret mulliganing or anything like that. I think we just go back in. Rest in Peace. Shuts off their ability to regrow as well. Maybe we want to. We're on the play. Let's be aggressive. I think 1's fine. The second one this is really like, there's no benefit to having a second one other than redundancy. Like, you're more likely to find it. You're more likely to get it to resolve. This has to be a keep. And then I'm just going to try to keep the ground clear with Sheltered by Ghosts. They force it. I mean, like, I know it's sad, but I kind of think we force back. Our hand is pretty contingent on this resolving. Okay. And now we actually have stuff we can do. They're not going to be able to clear this ever unless they just put a blocker out. Of course, that'll do it. Don't have a blocker, please. Well, that is extremely lucky. All right, and I drew a land, so I don't even have to risk. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and suit him up, and we're just going to get a card. Like, this is kind of like a cantrip. They're going to Hydro that. Pyro that, rather. All right. Well, I'll still come in for 1. And maybe they forced because they didn't have a creature that could readily block. Maybe they have a very reactive hand. Ponder. Okay, don't find a land plus a creature. I mean, technically I can remove 1 creature, but the longer I get, because I'm only drawing 1 card per turn at this point, the longer I get runway, the better. All right, Wasteland. Not a good land for them. Oh, well, I will play out this land, and I'll attack, and we'll pass. This Sheltered by Ghost necessarily has to remove some sort of problematic permanent. I'm really afraid they're going to have Cutter here. Ponder. Yeah, it's worth noting that, like, even though my creatures have hexproof, the enchantments like Combat Research do not. Oh, wow, we're so lucky. I'm not going to fetch the thing. I'm going to be disciplined, and I am rewarded. Let's brainstorm here. Curious Obsession, Invisible Stalker, so we can start suiting up the Stalker instead. I don't need this Bogle ever. I don't need this land. If I suit up the Bogle, I get a card immediately. I do think that that's worth doing. Even though, like, longer term, Curious Obsession is going to be better. Well, actually, no, I don't think it's correct. I think I'm going to go ahead and just go for Stalker here. And, like, they're on the draw. Maybe they don't have days. I know that's probably wishful thinking. But, like, if Stalker resolves, then, like, for the rest of the game, we've got a really good target. Yes. Okay, and now I think we're probably going to win this game. Unless they have, like, something exceptional here. Because we're going to be able to Curious Obsession, and then we'll be drawing 2 cards deterministically pretty much every turn cycle. Unless they can remove the Curious Obsession itself. DRC is a good card. They fetch. At this point, I'll probably, like, attack just to try to trade with that. But I'm going to remove it with Sheltered by Ghosts. Storm Chaser Talent. So now they've got 2 blockers. I don't think they are proactively, like, looking for days at this point. I think they're probably going to likely bin a days if they see one. And we are pretty confident they didn't have one. Because Stalker should not have resolved had they had one. It would definitely be a must days. Next turn, they can start regrowing stuff. All right. Stalker number 2 is nice. I think I do want to gain life, and I'll just hit this in case they can somehow clear the Shelter by Ghosts. This does a lot more. I can do it after combat. See what I draw. I'll keep the Slippery Bogle back. He'll just be like an emergency chumper. So we get a card. Hydroblast. Well, I'm just gonna use that. I don't want them seeing extra cards. And then next turn I can Shelter by Ghost, killing the other guy. They are going to be able to take a big crack at me here if they have multi-spells. You can make this deck even cheaper. Like, I'm on the $700 version, but you could, like, there's only so cheap you can get because Prismatic Vista is like a ripoff right now. They need to reprint it really badly. And then Force and Force Negation, like, they've reprinted Force of Will I don't know how many times, but it's stubbornly been at like 60 or $70 each. Okay, this is the Cutter. They've already cast a spell this turn, right? So this is not going to trigger. But I'll just remove the Cutter before it becomes a problem. And I'll just take this. I'm going to be gaining life off Sheltered by Ghosts anyway. Right, let's draw another Curious Obsession. Okay, Sheltered by Ghosts is the more important of the 2. This has to resolve. Now we have a unblockable lifelinker, and I think we absolutely remove the Cutter here, even though they could, like, potentially bounce it back and get it back later. And I am going to attempt a Curious Obsession into a daze because, like, I'd like to draw additional cards. Look at all the things attached to this guy. Pyro? Yeah, that's fine. That buffs the Otter, which doesn't make any difference. Okay, so we're just going to get 1 card here. I think we want to Bogle them. I'm going to be gaining 3 life here. I don't think we're going to die next turn. And I think the damage, like, I can use Bogle on a subsequent turn to block. We drew a Plow, which is freaking phenomenal. So next turn we can Invisible Stalker just as a chumper. And, also Plow, a threat. DRC, that's going to get probably plowed. Ponder, that triggers. This has been a really fun match. So they're basically Hellbent, but they do have Storm Chaser talent, but, like, they don't have a lot of time. Because we're hitting them for 3 unblockably. So we got, like, a True Name Nemesis here, basically. The best thing they could draw would absolutely be... I'm not actually sure if Boomerang Basics would be the best thing they could draw. But they could get their Quarry back, but, like, it made me more sense to just bounce the Storm Chaser talent and get another dude. All right, so we could just Shelter by Ghosts so they don't even gain life. I think I'm here for that. And that gives this Ward 2, which it doesn't matter. Yeah, we might as well just put it on this because this is unblockable. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And we will just get this out of the way so I can smash. And now we're hitting for even more. They're on a 1 turn clock, basically. I don't think there's any merit to attacking with this. It's just deterministic unless they can gain life, which I'm pretty sure the deck can't. They can gain life off Plow, so maybe that was a reason. Card is a Prismatic Vista, which just lets us jam another Invisible Stalker, I guess. I think that's fine. They don't have days, obviously, so they're hellbent, so let's just play this, and it's even more inevitability. They could have, like... Oh, okay, they could find, Pyroclasm. That would be pretty big. But even then, like, I'm pretty high life total. But they would have Storm Chaser talent. So, like, yeah, Pyroclasm or Fire Magic. Fire Magic would actually do it too. I'm just trying to think of, like, ways we could lose. Maybe I needed to hold that Stalker because it's not necessary to win. They're at 3. Pyroclasm on 1 time is what they said. Okay. Did they find it? I'll actually be excited if they find it. Well, I guess they could, like, look for it. Yeah, there's a leveling up. This is a Ponder. Yeah, like, I always get, like, kind of irritated when people say GG's after, like, before the game's actually over. It's not totally over, but, like, there's nothing they can find here. They could find... actually, they could find a Boomerang Basics, and they could bounce one of these Sheltered by Ghosts, but then I would just recast it, and take something out of the way. So, yeah. And True Tempo is playing 2 Pyroclasms in his sideboard. It's like his sideboard card of choice. They said, keep up the great budget content the format needs. Round 2, we're up against an unknown opponent. I think this hand's okay. We can just archive and not do anything turn 1, and then we could Beastbinder. Let's just get some information about what they're playing. Underground Sea. Storm Chasers. Okay, 2 Storm Chasers in a row. I've never seen an Underground Sea Storm Chaser talent thing. This might be like one of these like pseudo Enchantress type decks. Okay, Sheltered by Ghosts clears that. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with my plan and get more information. I'd like a land. I don't need this. Yeah, let's just draw a land in case they waste. Like they are likely on some sort of tempo variant if they're playing Storm Chaser's talent. Or yeah, because it is kind of a tempo card. Wasteland, that's bad news. Hopeless Nightmare. When this enchantment enters, each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. Okay, well, luckily for me, I've got a pretty easy card to discard here, which I think is True Name Nemesis. It's just too far. I don't think they have reanimation effect. It's going to be forever before I resolve this. And so they attack for 2. This is cool. Like, we're getting to see some cool decks. We're not just playing against Oops all spells over and over. Which, don't worry, I've got a plan for Oops. We're not going to lose to Oops. I can feel it. Okay. So let's go ahead and just chill. Actually, this is a turn cycle where I could brainstorm, but I'm just going to wait. Get more information. If they, like, just... I don't want to... I want to get a perfect brainstorm. Even though they've got me under pressure, I want to get perfect brainstorms. Thoughtseize. All right. I'll just let it resolve. I don't care about my hand. Sheltered by Ghost is probably the best card in my hand just because it clears this Otter, but I can't cast it until I have a creature in play anyway. Yeah, they took it. Well, actually, I think Beastbinder is the card that they should have taken because it can make their good threats, assuming they are actually playing Bowmasters and stuff, it can make them much less good. So I'm going to take an organic draw before I fetch. Okay. Thoughtseize Bug. All right, so we're almost certainly going to get dazed here, but I want to get a creature out so I can start enchanting it next turn. We've got our perfect mana here. If it gets dazed, it's a bummer, but like I don't think like brainstorming and waiting while we get hit is the answer here. This will most likely just get pushed, or they might have like the enchantment that makes people sacrifice creatures. Yep, there it is. Yep, and that is going to do it. This is actually extremely good against our deck because Shroud does not protect you from sacrifice effects. This is a really bad matchup. I can already tell this is going to be a terrible matchup for us. Okay, so they're getting their max speed. They can gain some life off the Momentum Breaker. I love Momentum Breaker, by the way. Yeah, I need to find a land or I'm cooked. So I am going to brainstorm and try to find a land. I think we're good here. Like, yeah, an Invisible Stalker is not going to be enough of a speed bump, and that is to assume that they don't have follow-up threats. Okay, so that was really cool what my opponent's doing over there. It is vulnerable to back to basics, I think. So I think that's an option. I didn't see any reason to bring in Rest in Peace. Slippery Bogle may actually be really good here just because he's cheap to deploy. I don't want to get off train True Name, but like I'm kind of feeling like we're going to be under time pressure or like just not get a lot of turns. They're going to be like probably dazing and wasting. This can be sacrificed anyway. We could maybe trim some of these curiosity effects. I don't want to bring in Force Negation, but like it might be correct to bring it in. I'm going to have to get a back to basics kill. Yeah, I don't think I'd trim any creatures. Like I think that'd be a mistake because they have a lot of removal. We're just going to need to keep stuff on the board. If we back to basics, it gives us time to win with True Name. I will go ahead and trim some of the curiosity effects. These two are comparable. This one gives it +1/+1, so it's slightly better. But then you have to attack, so risk reward. There is a blue-white one that me and Punishing Waterfalls considered adding, but like paying 2 mana for a curiosity effect feels... Oh, this hand is insane. Yeah, this is going to be really good. So I'll get my Bogle out, and then we can curiosity it and get an extra card. And at the very worst, curiosity draws us a card, and then they kill it with, Momentum Breaker or something like that. I hope they're playing like a third color that they just didn't show so that Back to Basics can do more. They're going to get our Back to Basics. If they take Curiosity, then I'll know they don't have like a sacrifice effect. It might actually be right to take Curiosity if they have like a force. Because, yeah, interesting. They may also have a daze. Well, I'll take that draw. We are going to have to keep the path clear for our boy here. I should have waited. I should not have played that at the land. I don't think they have daze. They might. So we'll take for 2 here. We get a card. But if I draw in like a white source, like I don't think it really matters. Okay, plains. I mean, like I could have played it out. I am going to go for the back to basics next turn though. Unless they give me something that I need to plow to get out of the way. Yeah, they had it. So that's a bummer. So 2 for 1. I am going to back to basics here because locking down even one of their lands is worth it. They'll likely force. I don't want to play a True Name out into a second Momentum Breaker. They had the freaking days. So it was actually correct for me to play out the second land earlier when I said, oh, I might draw planes. And I did draw planes, but I would have gotten dazed, most likely. Yeah, this sucks because Momentum Breaker is really good. They could Thoughtseize us and take our True Name. Like at this point, I think we do have to just jam True Name. Helpless Nightmare. Okay, well, I am going to... I'll just discard the plow at this point because I need... If I draw a land, I want a double spell. I want a True Name and then Bogle so I can support True Name from second Momentum Breaker. Also, I believe... Yeah, they're bringing that back to hand. They draw a card. Okay, so they did use that on that instead of Momentum Breaker. Gosh, man, we're just getting completely destroyed here. Well, I'm going to jam. I think they have a plan for this because they've known about it. But like if they can clear this, the game's just over. Frankly, they've already amassed a lot of advantage. Yeah, this is the card that I was worried about. They're going to destroy us. Good games. Yeah, that was like not even close to competitive, but their deck is very cool. I might play it on the channel. Like this is the second time I've encountered an Estrid's Invocation deck with this Momentum Breaker. And yeah, it's really cool. But obviously, like sacrifice effects are just rare in Legacy. But other than Children's Edict, that's the only common sacrifice effect I can think of. You just hope not to encounter them if you're playing this deck. But very cool deck. All right, opponent's likely on a big mana deck. Sheltered by Ghosts is interaction. We have plenty of mana. We have an Invisible Stalker to suit up with. I think we just hope that works. I don't want to mull to a force and then find myself with like insufficient mana. We are only playing 18 lands. I'm going to keep. So I can lead with Archive and at least get a Surveil here. And if they waste it, it's no big deal. I'd actually be excited if they wasted me because that means that, they're trading, a card in their hand and they're giving us an extra turn and we're getting a Surveil out of it. They're mulling to 5. 4. Okay, well now I'm starting to get scared. Oops, all spells can do an unprotected turn 1 win with 4 cards. They can do a protected with 5 and an unprotected with 4. Okay, well, It sucks when your opponent mulls to 4 and still wins, but that is probably the most likely outcome of this game at this point. Plains. I did not expect that. They got this sweet, look at that Plains. Beautiful, beautiful art. I don't know if you watch Western movies. I love watching Westerns. And like I was pretty excited about the cowboy set. So I think these are just Invisible Stalker here, which will probably be like, okay, why are you playing that? I have so few. I am going to fetch the thin here because I've got to fetch the shuffle later anyway. Because I've just drawn so many lands. And like I want to note that I put a land in the yard too. So we'll grab an island here and we'll play everybody's favorite creep. Uh-oh. Oh, the initiative? Well, I can take the initiative from you all day long. And I can remove this. I think we're actually going to win this game. I think, like, once I saw the plans, I was like, okay, we're probably going to win this game. But now I feel even more confident. Well, Solitude doesn't help them. Nothing really saves you from Invisible Stalker taking the initiative from you. Gosh, can we draw a non-land? My goodness, deck. Come on. I want to fetch the thin again. And I'm going to get, like, I'm actually starting to run out of basics in my deck. Yeah, well, get rid of that. Like, they might be able to, like, kill it somehow. I'll take the initiative here. I am going to fetch with the initiative trigger on the stack because I want to get all the lands out. Like, I just don't want to be drawing even more lands. Okay, let's go ahead and fetch first. I'll get this Plains, and then I'll just go get an island. And they could definitely take the initiative back, but they're just never going to race me to the Throne of the Dead 3 because every single turn with like near deterministic inevitability, I will be able to get it back. Okay, they have a second initiative, Mini. But they are, like I can suit this up and it'll hit for a lot and it's lifelink. So they're going to have to race. And I'm not going to be kind. I'm not going to go down the well. I'm going to go down the forge path. All right. Can we get a plow? They topped. All right. Ever since I called, okay, well, there we go. That's freaking awesome. So, I'll play this out. We're not going to use this mana. I'm going to use it to brainstorm when I inevitably, like, I'll just go ahead and plow now and see if they can just get a concession because they're pretty far behind. But they did keep a top card, so maybe they found something that clears this. Let's forge. Unfortunately, we don't get the damage this turn because we had to get the initiative back first. I'm going to go Beastbinder, and we're going to chill. And if I draw a brainstorm, like I don't need to make any more land drops. So, but like I'll only be able to shuffle away 2. Okay, yeah, that was a clear victory. Gosh, I'm just thinking like if we were on the mono blue version, I don't think we would have been able to devastate the way we did. That felt good. Consign can stop them taking the initiative, but they might be playing the One Ring. I'm not sure. Let's think about what cards are not particularly relevant here. Beastbinder is super relevant. I think we just keep it as is because until we know more about the deck, like nothing jumps out at me. Like obviously if they chalice, it completely locks down our curiosity angle. We do have the ability to remove a chalice though. That's not that bad. Did we see any red? I think most likely they do have red in their deck, but it would be kind of foolhardy to bring the Hydroblast in until we've confirmed that. I'm just going to run it back. All right, let's take a look at this. Invisible Stalker, Sheltered by Ghosts. I think this is a snap keep. We got both our colors. We've got a lot of curiosity here. Hopefully they don't chalice me. But again, if they chalice me, I can Sheltered by Ghosts to remove the chalice. But I want to be removing the initiative creature. If they turn 1 initiative, it's actually pretty scary because they may just kill us before we can get Invisible Stalker online. Our best draw is definitely a plow. And we were on the play previously, so now we're on the draw, which, okay. I'm happy when my opponent mulls to 5 and then uses a Chrome Mox. But I'm scared because, what the heck is that card? Summon Yojimbo. Okay, excel target, artifact enchantment. Okay, that works very well against our Sheltered by Ghosts. Okay, interesting play. So they kept a no-lander. I mean, that's the card that I wanted to draw. I'm not going to complain about that. So now when they make their play, I can just plow, and they'll still have the initiative, but pedal. Extremely brittle mana base over there. Another Chrome Mox. Are you serious? Okay, this better be something special. Yeah, they are playing red. Is this Trinisphere? Oh, Anointed Peacekeeper. This is as, unfortunately. So I'm not going to be able to plow this. But like, I don't think I'll lose to this. So you have to always fetch because they can just name your... Oh, I think I'll name Prismatic Vista. So yeah, we are going to go ahead and do that. And we'll... Invisible Stalker, and then we'll Sheltered by Ghosts, and we'll clear it that way. They're going to name Plow. We got exceptionally lucky. They got by them getting exceptionally unlucky. If that was their freaking... If that's the best they could do. Like, I love Red-White Initiative. Like, you can watch... I've got a lot of leagues with it. I usually tend to play it during a toxic meta, because... Yeah, they name Plow. And I want to be clear. There was no window, because it's an as ability, there was no window in which I could have plowed. Okay, that's a good rip. We'll play out the known cards. We'll get our Stalker online. Next turn, Shelter by Ghost comes down. And after that, we just go crazy. We could actually just pay for Plow next turn too. This makes it cost 2 more. I can't imagine what they would draw that would be castable. Best draw for them is probably just a land. They just scooped. Right, round 4, we're 2-1. We're up against a likely like big mana strategy. I don't recommend ever keeping hands that don't have an island in them or a path to an island. We're not playing Ponder, by the way. So our mana is particularly precarious. This just fetches the Surveil land. I think this has to be good enough. I'm going to put back Plow. We'll see. If they're on like a colorless big mana strategy, then that'll be a bummer. If they're on like Eldrazi or something, then I'll be dumb for having put back the Plow. But I think Beastbinder... Like, we'll fetch Surveil, and then hopefully we can find a creature to suit up. We haven't gotten to see Beastbinder at all. Yeah, this is a big mana strategy. I don't think we are going to do well here pre-board, but we have the consigns. Okay, how crazy are we going here? Is this key too? Oh my goodness. All right, well, we can watch this just... Like, I thought we were playing Legacy. I didn't realize we were playing Vintage over here. That is a nope for me, dog. I don't want to... Well, I mean, so they could have nothing. I mean, they have so much mana, though. But, like, I could, in theory, like, get enough mana to start casting spells. Like, it's going to hamper me for the rest of the game, though. Really? Like, I need such an insane critical mass. And, that, yeah, I'm going to concede. I'm not going to give them any information. Turn 1, Trinisphere. Trinisphere is actually restricted in Vintage, which is what they do when they can't ban something because they'll piss off the purists who think that every single Magic card should be playable, even if it's utterly broken. Like Mental Misstep, the biggest R&D mistake ever. So we brought in a whole lot of counter Magic. I don't think Plow does a lot here. We can take that out. Beastbinder doesn't do anything, unfortunately, and it's vulnerable to K-Command, unlike our other creatures. Sheltered by Ghosts is totally reasonable here. Curious Obsession could be held back by something like... I mean, like, it seems lame to take out the one that buffs your creature, but this card is just going to be kind of a liability just in case they put Ensnaring Bridge on the table. But if they put Ensnaring Bridge on the table, we probably lost anyway. But, like, if you think about it, like... Yeah, this actually plays into Ensnaring Bridge. I don't think we win through doing combat damage quickly. I think we win by locking them out with Back to Basics. But they have so much artifact mana that might not even be enough. This hand is insane. Absolute snapkeep. Like, obviously, I'd like to have a white source, but I'm not going to wait around. I'll eventually draw a white source off of this Slippery Bogle, which can never be K-commanded. And we'll just proceed to draw tons of cards. So I sadly think it's like Force Pitch Force here if we have to force, but we don't. We're lucky. Yeah, let's go ahead and suit up. And we can get a Surveil land, but like I probably don't want to Surveil. Yeah, actually, no, I'm not going to play out of Plains. There's no reason to play Plains if I draw it. So it was totally fine to play that out. It was just a habit, like I play my land before I attack usually. But I could have drawn a card here that mattered, and I didn't. Next turn we have Back to Basics. We will force artifact mana. I could have fetched Surveilled there, but again, I don't want to play into... I'm going to go ahead and... gosh, what is this? Just go away. I don't even know how that happened. Okay, sorry. That was like some message from iMessage. I'm on a Mac if you haven't noticed. Okay, so... and if you want to know how to play Magic on a Mac, I've got like a Google Doc that walks you through everything. Let's go get an island. I should attack first. Maybe they do something weird, like just cycle a K command or something. Let's draw some blue cards. All right, more land. Not exactly what I wanted to see. I am going to go ahead and just put them on notice that I've got back to basics up in here. You're never going to be able to get rid of it, I don't believe. And then what I'll do next turn is I'll force pitch force, and then I'll have force negation up for subsequent rounds. But now they know that they just have a burst of mana. But I needed to get that down. I could have waited till they like tapped out. One ring. Let's just force that. I don't want you drawing into like tons of artifact mana. And now these are tapped forever. Gosh, can I draw some? Can I draw some cards that are not lands? I swear, I'm playing 18 lands. It's just comical at this point. What the heck, deck? Why are you doing this to me? All right, well, at least we're in a favorable position. So I am going to play a land out, and I'll just have force negation up, and we'll just dirtle. Urza's Tower. So now they've got 4 freaking mana again. I mean, they may just keep jamming lands while I'm doing nothing here. Oh, okay. I think this will be a concession because they're not going to be able to untap after this. Okay, well, I mean, it's not like I have a strong clock. I'm very lucky that my opening hand was so good because I don't believe I've drawn anything but land this entire time. And that includes with my my curiosity draws. Okay, finally a non-land card. Now, I'm trying to think of how we die here. I think I'm just going to play out another land here. Doesn't really matter. I can go get, let's just pass. How do things unravel for me here? My opponent's just going to die the slowest death imaginable. It looks like they may. I'll get 2 cards here. You're watching this, right? I did get a card that was not a land. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lands. And I hope I don't come across as salty or whatever. Sorry. Like, it's just, I'm laughing at the insanity of the variance. There's another land. And another land. I'm sorry. That was really loud. I cannot believe how unlucky this is. This has got to be like, this has got to be like generational. Like, this has to be the most flooded I've ever been in my entire life. And I've played many thousands of Magic the Gathering games. I don't think I've ever been this flooded before. Yeah, I guess I'll just play a land. They could totally win. Despite our back to basics. Okay. So what you're telling me is that my back to basics doesn't matter anymore. And that I'm completely screwed. Because my deck just didn't give me anything. What the heck? Give me a Sheltered by Ghosts. Okay. Thank you, deck. I'm not going to look that gift horse in the mouth. All right, let's go ahead and play this out. And that should end their ambitions, right? They can still play it out and just watch me dirtle with my $700 deck against their very expensive deck that plays Candelabra. I mean, their deck is like $10,000. And another land. Okay, I don't think I actually have any more lands in my deck now. I might have more. Let's see. I'm just going to chill. Like, obviously, it's just not even worth me thinking about it. Yeah, they scooped. That was incredible land draw. 18 lands. So just to put things in perspective, virtually all of my deck is non-land now. Like 37 non-land cards in there. Okay, it's not entirely true. There were still 4 more lands in there. Okay, I'm sorry. Again, I hope that I don't come across as like a whiny little baby. I couldn't believe how many lands I was drawing. And I can't believe we still won the game. I'm not going to cut land because that would be dumb because that's not the way statistics work. All right, so we got our 1-lander here. And yeah, this is a very strong interactive hand. I'm going to keep it. Hopefully we draw another land. Hopefully they go all in on some crazy thing that doesn't work out. I can't stand this card. I cannot stand this card. We have Shelters by Ghosts. We just have to let it go. At this point, like, even though it's very early in the game, my thinking is we just need to focus on cards that like payoffs and not enablers. Planar Nexus. They have so much mana already. I'm not going to fight those. Sadly, I just can't. Karn. I did draw a land. I can't let him resolve. I'm just trying to decide, like, my main concern is they have so much mana that I think Consign might actually be necessary for stopping the big Planeswalker guy, but I'm just going to go ahead and kill this Karn with Consign. because I do need to tap out for the next turn anyway. So I can get soccer on the table. I'm not going to wait around with... Okay, that Bogle is nice. Bogle's just as good as Invisible Stalker for most intents and purposes. I can brainstorm. I only need one threat. I think it's Bogle. I don't think they're going to produce a blocker. They could find an Urza Saga. There's a lot of chaff. So I'm glad I did this. I think Sheltered by Ghosts might be necessary, but I can just put it back and play on blue here. And I definitely don't need these Bogles. Maybe Bogle, like I don't need the Bogles, so I just put the Bogles back. They're blue, but I don't have enough forces anyway. I am going to keep all these curiosities. And now I'll just go fetch and I'll deploy the Bogle. Wait, I put back both Bogles. Oh no. For some reason I thought I had 3 Bogles. I thought I drew a second. That was dumb. I'm sorry, my excellent friends. That's like the first major punt of the league. Okay. Now they create ridiculous amounts of mana and they get the giant planeswalker, but there's nothing to exile, so it's a force will still answer it. I have to stop this. And at this point, like I'm all in on curiosity. I'm not going to stop like the brainstorm. Yeah, I deserve to lose this game. Grim Monolith. Sure, you have mana. What else do you have? You have nothing else. I am happy about that because I am freaking empty over here. And this should have come out last turn. And now I'm vulnerable in a way that I shouldn't be. So I can Shelter by Ghosts. That doesn't really do anything. Like it can remove some sort of scary permanent they put out, like the One Ring or a Karn. Okay. They're going to play the One Ring here or something much bigger. A giant K command maybe. Yeah, they can do the mother of all K commands, unfortunately, and stack their deck. Or they can Emrakul me. This is the Planeswalker. No, it's just a giant K command. And unfortunately, like I fetched the white. Yeah, this was a series of punts. Okay, so I didn't think about this, but this is a reason. Like the Bogle would have sucked because he never would have connected because they have all these blockers. So it's just a question of like, okay, like they have plenty of mana here. They can just go find a One Ring. They can find a lot of stuff. I probably actually need to Sheltered by Ghosts this turn cycle because it does more damage and it also removes whatever it is they're about to cast. But they can get rid of my Sheltered by Ghosts if they draw the big guy. Trinisphere. Unfortunately, I think I'll lose to that. How many of their top cards? They kept 2 on top? Okay. So if I draw exactly a land here, yeah. I don't think there's any hope here. Like technically, they have one more card on top. We don't know what it is. I'll attack for 1 and we'll just wait. And maybe we draw a land and we can Shelter by Ghosts to get rid of the Trinisphere. That will... But I think it's inevitable that we lose. And I think the Bogle wouldn't have saved us. What I needed to probably do... Obviously, I didn't know what was going to happen. What I needed to do was probably just cast the Invisible Stalker turn earlier. This is 4 mana, 7. Okay. Oh, Ugin. Yeah. I can't stop that. And then whenever they cast a 0-drop, which they can dig to, they will be able to exile my Shelter by Ghosts and get... Wait, actually, Shelter by Ghosts could clear that. They gain life, though, is the problem. And I can't meaningfully pressure this with my 1/1. So if I draw exactly land, I could Shelter by Ghosts here. I don't. Good game. Yeah, that game 3, I don't think we were going to win it anyway, even if I hadn't punted twice. The first punt, of course, grabbing... But I actually didn't punt in the sense that I needed the white to cast Shelter by Ghosts. But brainstorming, and then if I cast the Bogle, well, the Bogle just never attacks successfully. So the curiosity triggers and everything don't matter. Yeah, so I was actually totally doomed, I think. I don't think... With the keep that I kept, which maybe, somebody would have put back, but we actually didn't get punished. We drew a land. We drew a land immediately, which was nice. I just don't think there was a path to victory, frankly. Which is not to say that this is necessarily a bad matchup. We have the tools, but I felt obligated to consign the first target and force the second, and then we just dirtled too long. Final round, we may be up against a Spicy Ninjas build. Said, hello, Mr. Excellent. So let's think about this. This has too many lands. It doesn't do anything, frankly. It gets one of our threats down. I just feel like we can do better than this. If we're up against ninjas, Azure Beastbinder is quite good. But none of this stuff can deal with Kaito if Kaito arrives. That'll be a total pain. But, okay, I want to be decisive here. I think... There's a high likelihood they have removal for Azure Beastbinder. It's not a great card anyway. I feel like we need to get like we need to press the fact that we're on the play here. Oh, this is much better. So we'll just try to get an early true name. So I will keep. I will bottom a land. You know what? Like, if I'm going to try to true name, I might not be able to. Yeah, I'll bottom a land. And then I just won't crack, so it'll increase the likelihood of me drawing lands. I'll lead with Flooded Strand. That can surveil. But most likely I'm not going to want to surveil. But I certainly could. I think it's actually best to surveil here. I didn't throw the force back just in case I was wrong and they're not on ninjas. That would be really dumb. But like if they're on ninjas, force is not going to be a good card. Tamio. Okay. I think I just plow. And I can wait. I'll fetch surveil and then I'll plow. Because I don't have anything going on next turn anyway. So we're looking for... That's probably good. Yeah, we can hold this, but I'm worried we won't find land number 3 in time. Yeah, I think I just want to find a land. Like, I feel kind of... Yeah, I'm not sure if it was correct to put back the land, but like keeping a 3-lander didn't feel right. Okay, now I feel totally fine. And I would have been fine had I kept the Sheltered by Ghost, but I didn't know that at the time. So I will just go ahead and do this. I'm actually going to do it with this, because that way, if I need to force and they somehow have days, I can react. But you do want to deal with Tamio immediately. All right. And you may hear my son practicing piano in the background. Actually, I'm going to open up the door so you can hear him a little better. Okay, they dropped a Volk there. So, this could be a Daze deck. This could be like, I don't know. I think there's a decent chance that True Name is just insane here. And I am going to force him through if absolutely necessary. Blue, Nemesis. Let's see if we can get some action out of their hand here. Daze! Oh! Crushing. Well, I mean, this is literally my meal ticket. Like, I'll just concede. Well, I won't concede because the game will be over. Did they Spell Pierce? Or is this a brainstorm to try to find another Daze? Unbelievable. Well, yeah, we were never going to win this game, unfortunately. They had double Tamio, double Daze, and we mold blue-red. What are they on? I'm going to just wait and just, like, they've won the game handily. We have nothing left. I don't regret any of the decisions I made this game because I didn't know that they were going to have double Daze. They're clearly not on ninjas because their ninja deck didn't have any Dazes or Wastelands or anything. So, yeah, of course. Our deck is doing the thing that it loves to do. The 18 land deck that pretends that it has 30 lands in it. I think we just pass here. Let's think about this. Is there any reason to play out this land? I actually do, just in case I find a brainstorm. I'm going to want to brainstorm sooner rather than later. I guess I could have waited. They still got 5 cards in hand, which I bet are not all land, like on my side of the table. And they've got virtual cards every single turn. They have the Howling Mine active. I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. I'm curious about their deck, but I can't. It's worth noting that Sheltered by Ghost never would have been able to do anything anyway. So that was not necessarily a bad thing to bin. This is definitely like one for the ages in terms of like bad luck. We saw red. Hydroblast could come in. My instinct is just not... I think Beastminder could probably come out. It's vulnerable to their removal. Everything else is not vulnerable to their removal. And I am going low on cards, but I can bring in some Hydroblast here, and I can also bring in maybe a single Back to Basics, because they are like on a multicolor deck. And the main issue is we've only got 10 lands or 10 creatures in the deck, so I'm pretty obliged to hold if we find a creature. Unfortunately, Tamio is going to debuff our Slippery Bogle, so he's not going to do damage, and it's whenever it deals damage. You know, there might be... deals combat damage. Deals combat damage. Okay, so it's only Curiosity that is focused on damage overall. So this could be a combo with like a, Prodigal Sorcerer type card. This is my daughter playing now, if you can hear it. I'll keep talking so you can kind of hear it a little bit. And I'm just going to keep my voice light so you can hear it over me. But the very end of the song right here, she's playing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I hope that was like not weird and out of place, but it is one of the delights to have kids who play music. Okay, this is, let's mulligan this. No lander. Okay, this is about the best we can hope for with our deck, sadly. I'll put back one of these lands, and we're just going to Invisible Stalker and hope that that is actually good against their deck. But again, like a flip Tomio, and we're doing nothing. I got a drone flying around me. What the heck? Okay. No, drone! Drone just crashed into the window. Oh no. He's sending the drone in. All right, island. Tomio, of course. Just completely invalidates our entire strategy, unfortunately. I will fetch Surveil. I want to move things forward. I want to dodge the excess lands that our deck is so pining to give us. Yep, like, nice dodge. And, you know, Daze, Tomio is just like an insane package. Oh, Bogle. Well, I think we actually want to just jam Invisible Stalker here. I mean, I could just play around Daze with my threats, but again, like, nothing really matters. Slippery Bogle can be blocked. I think we do go ahead and just get the island out of our deck here and hope that they don't have the Daze. They had 2 of them last game, but that doesn't mean they're going to have them this game because that's not how the universe works. Just keep telling yourself that. It's in. Okay, and that'll be in for the rest of the game unless they have Wrath of the Skies, which they may. The league started out pretty well, but like the previous round, man, that felt bad. I don't mind losing to fair decks like this, but like, yeah, losing to the solitaire deck. Okay, and they're just going to brainstorm here, of course. So we're never going to be able to do any damage with our Curiosity. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm being like overly doomerish. They do have Wasteland for that, but okay. That's gone. I'm actually totally fine with that. Of course, they had the freaking brainstorm. My goodness. Like, how are we ever supposed to beat Tomio? We could Shelter by Ghost. That's like the top deck that we need. But by this point, they're going to, you know, potentially have a Daze. I could play out Bogle. I could play out another Invisible Invisible Stalker, but none of it matters, unfortunately. So frustrating. We need Shelter by Ghosts. But that is one thing that Punishing Waterfalls called out in his tweet series, that like it's really good against Flip Tomio. But again, I feel like it's very likely that they just have a Daze here. Combat Research actually buffs. So this is nice because we can, it is player. Unfortunately, we are going to need to suit this guy up and attack the player so we can get extra cards so we can dig for Shelter by Ghosts. Oh, wait. Whenever this creature deals damage to a player... Oh, no, this is not the one that buffs. This is not the one that buffs. Well, I've made several punts. That was a punt. This does nothing. That was a total waste of time. I'm going to play out a Bogle. Just, like, now I can't even cast the freaking Shelter by Ghosts. I'm just spiraling. Like, I should have grabbed a Plains here. None of this matters. Freaking Tomio invalidates everything. There's no point in even attacking, unfortunately. I thought I had not combat research, but the Curious Obsession or whatever it's called. This really feels like this entire match is non-games. It's just like comedic, like how this little 1-drop like is so much better than our 1-drops. It's just insane. And of course I drew the card that would have maybe saved us. Okay. So I will concede the game. They are almost certainly going to Tomio Ultimate next turn. We could like draw the Plains, but like, yeah, I don't know. We can go back and see what they would have said. Force. Yeah, so it wouldn't have mattered, unfortunately. We were deterministically dead to Tomio's Ultimate. And yeah, that was a sad ending to the league. We got some weird aberrational unluckiness. We got some weird matchups that I've never faced before, which the Enchantress type deck with or whatever it's the Invocation. That's very cool. I'm going to try to build a no reserve list version of that deck and play that. I think that'll be fun. But yeah, this was fun. This was definitely better than the other version, despite my sloppy play in the final round. I don't think I played sloppily until the final round, but you know, I did punt and not fetching the Plains, but my opponent had the Force anyway, so we would have faced heartbreak anyway. I do think that this, like, it's not necessary to get white that badly. You could just play all basics and you don't even have to play the Hallowed Fountain, which we never used, and the Meticulous Archive, which did help us draw, like, avoid one land drop, one excess land that we would have drawn. Azure Beastbinder is really good, but we never got to see him shine, unfortunately. I do think that this should be a 4 True Name deck. Frankly, like, I think that True Name is just good enough, and there's just not enough creatures here. Slippery Bogle underperformed, frankly. I think he could be like a 2 of. He's just not nearly as good as these creatures that, or maybe what we do is we do play the 4 Slippery Bogle, but we go down an Azure Beastbinder, and it's hard to like probably cut one of the Curiosity effects. Yeah, I think that's how I would do it. I would leave the Curious Obsession, but I think 12 is maybe excessive. We didn't get it like an insane, like I've got 8 of them attached to one creature like we did the previous league. So if you want to watch me draw 8 cards in one turn, go watch that one. But this was a blast. Thanks again to Punishing Waterfalls for kind of like taking my build and then modifying it and then making it better. I do think this is better than my initial build. It is more expensive, obviously. It went from like a $400 deck to like a $800 deck, $700, but it's still cool. It's fun. I don't think this is going to be winning any major tournaments until Tomio gets banned, and even then, we'll see whether this archetype can work. But like Tomio is just, as we saw in the final round, she's just so devastating against this and against really Ocelot Pride and everything. Like, she needs to go from the format. I will continue to play her because I'm a blue mage, and like, frankly, I'm like seriously handicapping myself by not playing her in my try-hard decks. But for fun, kind of no reserve list decks like this, I think it's totally fine. I don't think she would be a net benefit here in this deck, for example. All right, I'll leave it there. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.